Hey there, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while again, but I'm glad to see you, and I'd love to talk to you about some of the books that I've been reading while I've been gone. It has been almost 2 months, I think, since I recorded. Like I said, we've been working on getting the baby to sleep, which is kind of daunting, but we're finally getting some sleep at night, which is amazing. Oh yeah, I was folding laundry. Those are actually baby socks that haven't been put away yet. So welcome to mom life. Hi. I've been doing a ton of reading while we've been getting the baby to sleep. She's sleeping a little bit at night, but she's still not napping during the day any more than 20 to 30 minutes at a time, which is really, really rough on moms. So we're working through it, but in the meantime, the only thing I can do is read, and so I've been doing that a lot. So let's talk about what I've been reading. Lots and lots of books. I'm not going to talk about everything. I'm mostly going to talk about just the ones that I have hard copies for, and then if I have time, I'll try to do another one about the books that I read on my Kindle. So let's just get started. This is the last book so far in the series. This is a cozy mystery series by L.A. Alexander. I think it's called the Bake Shop Mysteries. It starts off with Meet Your Baker, and it's about a baker in Ashland, Oregon, the home of the Shakespeare Festival, and I love them. They're so easy to read when there's a baby who just won't sleep and is crying, and there's nothing you can do but help your baby. But you can't really help your baby because she really needs to figure it out on your own. Oh, it's been fun. But there are recipes in the back, which is super fun. So it talks about the baking and the murder and the mystery and everything. And then the recipes that are referenced, some of the recipes are actually in the back as well, which are super, super fun. So I read, I think this is number 6 or 7 in the series, and I can read them in like a day because it takes so long to get the baby to sleep. And I pulled them up on the Kindle and the app on my phone, and I can read them while she's trying to go to sleep, and literally one a day. I just kind of devoured these, and they're just easy to read, and I really like them. So these are great. I recommend them if you're looking for something that's quick and easy. Not a lot of depth, but definitely something to keep your mind engaged while something more dramatic is happening. This is absolutely in no order except the order that I pulled it off of my shelf. So the weird transition, but I also finished Canary Row by John Steinbeck. I had started this last summer and enjoyed it, but for some reason put it down, moved on, and had most of the book left to finish, which I picked up a couple days ago and sped through the rest of it. This is amazing. There's no real plot. It's a series of loosely related vignettes taking place on Canary Row in San Francisco, and it's basically a lot of character profiles, and the characters in these stories are so vivid. They're phenomenal. So this is a lot of fun to read, and I highly, highly recommend it. Also, I think this is the first Steinbeck that I've read. I'll be reading more. This is good. I also read A Wrinkle in Time. I thought that I'd already read this, but apparently I had not. I thought that I read this, when I was younger. But the more that I read it, the more I realized that I had not. I think the plot is well known. It's about a struggle between good and evil and children. And I read it because I knew that the movie was coming out, and I didn't want to be kind of unwittingly spoiled. Again, I thought that I'd read it before. But I enjoyed it, and I will continue and read the other ones that I also probably haven't read, even though I thought I had. So, A Wrinkle in Time, I purchased it because I definitely want my girls to have access to read it when they get older. I think that Meg would be a great role model for them. This is Leave in Trunk Blues by Ace Atkins. This is the second book. Did I talk about this one already? The second book in the series that my dad got me for Christmas. This one is really cool because it's got an inscription by the author inside, which is like super cool, and it was a mystery to me to figure out what the inscription was all about, and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't deduce that this was a famous conversation between this author and someone else, but it was a lot of fun. This book is about our main character, Nick Travers, who's a blues historian, investigator, tracker, and he heads up to Chicago to interview a woman on death row, and ends up kind of taking on her case and investigating why she was put on death row many, many years before, and then becomes embroiled in the local politics and blues politics. And it's good. I mean, again, it's entertaining. A lot overwritten at times, but that kind of adds to the charm, because the whole thing is so far-fetched that a little bit of overwritten passages kind of just adds to the ambiance. And then for Valentine's Day, my husband got me a copy of The Informers by Juan Gabriel Vasquez, and I really like this. It took me a really long time to read, because this is not one of those lighthearted, kind of fluffy, easy to read books. This is definitely harder to read and harder to pick up the meaning, and I mean, it's just more literary. But it was very good. It was about, I believe I talked about this in my last video, that I was currently reading it. It's about Colombia, kind of in the present, and then also flashes back to World War II era Colombia, where there are blacklists for German citizens, and kind of the ramifications of these blacklists. And it was quite good. I mean, I've studied Colombian history, and this wasn't something that I knew much about, so it was a very interesting book, and I love Vasquez's writing. I think it's amazing, so I recommend this one as well if it sounds interesting to you. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This is a short book about following your destiny and finding your passion. It's told in the form of a fable or a myth about a shepherd boy in Andalusia who receives a vision about finding treasure in the pyramids of Egypt, and goes on a journey to find that treasure, and kind of the things that he encounters and the lessons that he learns along the way. And so I think that this book would have been really impactful for me like 10 years ago, 5 years ago. At the time that I was reading it, with 2 kids and no real career path other than more momming, it fell a little flat, but I think that just had to do with the stage of life that I'm at right now. So I definitely will keep this around, and I would put it into the hands of my girls for sure. And then the final book that I want to talk about today that I finished was the Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. And this book, man, this book was great. It was really great. Oh, did you hear that? That was a baby that was unhappy. Oh well, I'm going to keep talking. That's what husbands are for. So this book takes place primarily in Africa, in the Congo. And it is about a missionary family in the 60s who's there right at the time of independence. And the father is a zealot evangelical. He's certifiable as far as his zealotry. And the rest of his family, he has a wife and 4 daughters who are not nearly as zealous and are struggling to understand their place in their Congo, in their family, in the world, and kind of the fallout from that. And so I've studied all of these things as a historian, like professionally. I studied all those things. And so the first part of this book was really, really difficult for me. She sets the stage by laying out all of the tropes, all of the misconceptions, all of the myths that missionaries told themselves and white people told themselves about saving Black Africans. And it's all replicated in the beginning of this book, which is hard to read. It's painful. But I could kind of tell based on kind of how obvious it was, and the rest of the quality of the writing that was clearly very thoughtful, that she was setting the stage for some change in thought, and that's exactly what happened. So the daughters in the family end up you follow them as they grow up into adulthood and learn kind of along with them what they're learning about the world as the world is changing, and it's beautiful. I really, really recommend it, and if you have read it and want to discuss it, I would love to do that, because this one gave me some thoughts and feelings that I would love to discuss. So those are some of the books that I finished in the last 2 months. I've got 3 that I'm reading right now, because apparently I read more than one book at a time now, which is okay. I just can't concentrate on anything for very long. The first is Wherever You Go, There You Are, about mindfulness and meditation, which seems like kind of an odd choice, but I feel like because my brain is so scattered these days, sometimes I need a little centering and grounding, and I'm interested in what this book has to say about that, because it's from a very secular standpoint, and I'm interested to see how this could help me kind of examine my own life and improve my own life. Next, I'm reading How to Raise a Wild Child by Scott Sampson, and this book is kind of, I don't know, it seems pretty self-evident. Oh, the subtitle is The Art and Science of Falling in Love with Nature. So it's kind of about the hows and whys of getting kids outside. My oldest daughter loves playing outside. That's her favorite thing in the whole world, and we have a big backyard and lots of space for her to do that. But this, I'm hoping to get more ideas for directed play for her, and how I can encourage inquisitiveness and that kind of thing. And she's 3, so I know that I've got lots of time to build a good foundation for loving outdoors and the nature outside and all that kind of thing. And then finally, the last book that I am reading is People of the Book by Geraldine Brooks. I read Caleb's Crossing last summer and really liked it. One of the things that I've noticed or learned about myself recently is that because of my historical training, there's a lot of historical fiction that I just can't read, and this one and the Barbara Kingsolver book are examples of really well done historical fiction that's accurate enough that it doesn't kind of give me hives when I try to read it. So I really like it. It traces the history of a very, very old Jewish text, and it flashes back and forth between the present day with a conservator who's trying to uncover the secrets of this book, and then it goes back in time to different stages of this book's life, and tells about what was happening 200 years ago, 300 years ago, etc., etc. So it's really interesting. Anyways, those are the books some of the books I have read and the books that I am currently reading right now. Let me know if you have any comments, if you've read any of these books or anything like that, and I will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.